2025 was an incredible year for the fur bears, thanks to you. Join us in celebrating all that was achieved with this Year in Review video. Fur farming was in the spotlight throughout 2025. Canadian Fur Farms Exposed, our short documentary, was released in May of this year and quickly gained popularity. Featuring interviews with infectious disease experts, animal welfare experts, a former fur farm worker, and an Indigenous leader, the documentary has racked up over 1 million impressions and views since its release. Recently, the film won Best Canadian Film at the Western Canadian International Film Festival. In conjunction with the release of Canadian Fur Farms Exposed, our furfarming.ca microsite was published, which includes ways for people to take action and contact their MPs, our in-depth research, and fast facts that help people join the movement to end fur farming in Canada. The Fur Bears attended Animal Justice's Animal Law Conference in Toronto, where our documentary was screened and a Q&A held for hundreds of participants. We promoted a formal Canadian parliamentary petition, E5269, to end fur farming in Canada, sponsored by MP Gord Johns. Sadly, the election called in early 2025 meant that the petition and its several thousand signatures wouldn't be read into the House. But following the election, MP Johns stepped up and sponsored the petition again, E6589, and we brought in over 10,000 signatures. It was read into Parliament in October, where we attended a national news conference held via CPAC. The government's formal response was recently tabled, and you can read our retort at thefurbears.com. Petition E6589 wasn't our only challenge to government over fur farms this year. We were set to intervene on the civil suit filed by fur farmers against the government of British Columbia over their mink fur farm ban, which was dismissed by the courts. And in November, we announced our legal action against the government of Quebec. The Montreal SPCA unearthed documents showing that since 2022, officials in the government warned that conditions on the province's fox and mink fur farms do not meet the biological needs of the animals, and the industry does not ensure for their welfare. This was matched with an internal report that recommends the industry be banned and that it would have no economic impact. In conjunction with Animal Justice and lawyer Marie-Claude Saint-Amand, the Fur Bears filed a legal action with Quebec Superior Court, arguing that the provincial government is unlawfully allowing fur farming to continue, despite knowing the practice likely violates Quebec's animal welfare laws. Worldwide, fur remains in decline, with Poland, one of the largest producers of fur internationally, instituting a ban, the New York City Fashion Week organizers going fur-free, and numerous studies showing the ongoing economic, public health, and animal welfare risks. Fairmont Luxury Hotels, who owns several major hotels in Canada, also announced a fur-free policy this year. And not long after, a new survey from Research Co. shows that 78% of Canadians oppose killing animals for their fur, and that this majority is consistent across age, gender identity, voting history, and regions. Canada has shown it's ready for an end to fur farming, and we couldn't be prouder to be a part of that movement. Our efforts to make an impact on trap policy and awareness across Canada continued strongly this year. Ontario proposed new regulations around the use of snares, and when we challenged them and asked for their cited research, they refused. We're still in the process of pushing back and will provide updates when we get them. In Prince Edward Island, we saw major steps forward in trap policy after advocating for change with local advocates. In recent years, we presented to committees and supported local advocacy efforts. The updates presented in September included allowing landowners to remove traps set on their property without permission, introducing additional landowner permission requirements before traps are placed on private land, and establishing a higher permission standard for snares, prohibiting the use of snares on public lands, and prohibiting the use of bait in conjunction with snares. These aren't the end goals we want to see, but they are steps forward that will reduce the number of domestic animals caught and fur-bearing animals suffering. After years of advocacy and pressure from the fur bears and our supporters, the BC Conservation Officer Service finally proactively released data showing the number of black bears killed by community area this year. While this administrative change isn't addressing the many issues that remain, it is a step toward long-sought transparency from the government agency. Abandonment and the following rapid proliferation of feral European rabbits in parks and public spaces is a hot-button issue that has plagued municipalities across British Columbia for well over 2 decades. This ongoing issue leads to negative impacts on ecosystems, native wildlife, urban infrastructure, and public health and safety. The welfare of the feral rabbits also needs to be addressed, and they need non-lethal solutions. This year, the fur bearers worked with Saanich Councillor Teal Phelps Bondaroff, who championed an initiative to get the issue in front of the provincial government. A resolution was drafted and approved at Saanich Council, calling on the province for leadership in addressing the root causes of feral rabbit release and welfare, and prevention of further damage to ecosystems and infrastructures. Next, Councillor Bondaroff took the resolution to the Association of Vancouver Island and Coastal Communities, and upon passage there, the Union of BC Municipalities Convention. Recently, the UBCM executive voted on the resolution, which will now be presented to the provincial government and require a response. This is a major step forward in getting the province to support municipalities and humane responses to feral rabbits. The fur bearers also announced a partnership with a Home for Hooves farm animal sanctuary to make an impact on the ongoing feral rabbit issues in BC. While the fur bearers does not work directly with animals or typically provide support for animal care, a Home for Hooves is Canada's first farm sanctuary to be accredited by the Global Federation of Animal Sanctuaries and has the specialized expertise to care for small mammals like rabbits. The focused, one-time initiative will help a Home for Hooves offer long-term care for rabbits, reducing the ecological and welfare impacts, while the fur bearers continues to advance advocacy and systemic changes. We offered rewards for information leading to the identification and conviction of the persons responsible for 2 unsettling incidents this year. A homeowner in Langley, British Columbia, caught video of a raccoon dragging a powerful trap on their front right paw in late August. They also reported seeing a cat with a trap. The raccoon was believed to be one of 2 offspring of a raccoon commonly seen around the home, until around the time of this video. Sadly, the trapped raccoon was not seen again. In October, the BC Conservation Officer Service announced they had found a young cougar suffering from a gunshot wound that had not been reported. This is a potential violation of BC's Wildlife Act and prompted a reward from the fur bearers. The cougar was later killed by wildlife officials. Both rewards led to significant media coverage and awareness across social media in the communities, sending a clear reminder that poaching will not be tolerated by Canadians. Raccoons are curious, charismatic animals who successfully live around humans. But when people begin feeding them, their behaviors can shift, leading them to take greater risks, spread disease, and often end up killed. The fur bearers were contacted by community members reporting people feeding raccoons at Simon Fraser University's Burnaby, BC campus. The university noted they'd received over 100 complaints related to the feeding of raccoons in the last 2 years, leading to concerns about public health and safety, as well as the welfare of the animals. The fur bearers ran a digital media campaign targeting people who live in and around the campus that shared the impacts of feeding raccoons and other wildlife. We also submitted a letter to the City of Burnaby Council urging them to implement and enforce a feeding bylaw. While feeding may seem helpful, it leads to negative outcomes for wildlife, and not coexistence. In 2025, a 4-year-old grizzly bear named Tex captured hearts across British Columbia and showed us how much work we still have to do to protect individual wild animals. Tex was named after Texada Island, where he was first spotted in May. Texada Island is located in the Strait of Georgia, more than 100 kilometers north of Vancouver. Grizzly bears aren't known for living on Texada, and Tex's quiet, curious presence quickly turned a surprising sighting into a community story. Tex's journey, however, started earlier. In 2024, he came to the attention of the BC Conservation Officer Service after being seen near urban areas on the Sunshine Coast. He was relocated twice to remote regions, but each time made his way back. Officials labeled Tex a public safety risk, despite experts noting he was not aggressive and was likely a young bear searching for new territory, a normal part of grizzly dispersal. When Tex reached Texada Island, concern for his safety grew. Some residents wanted Tex killed, others wanted to protect him. Provincial guidelines treated Tex as a problem bear, leaving little room to consider changing conditions or his value as an individual. At the same time, local First Nations stepped forward with solutions. The Mamalilkula First Nation offered to welcome Tex onto their traditional territory, saying, "That is one of our brothers. Bring him up here." The Tla'amin and Homolko nations also worked on plans to translocate Tex to a remote area at Butte Inlet. The Fur Bears launched a public letter-writing campaign that gathered more than 8,000 signatures, calling on the province to work with these nations and wildlife experts to find a peaceful, humane outcome. Help came too late. In July, Tex was found dead on Texada Island, illegally shot and killed while a First Nations-led relocation plan, approved by conservation officials, was underway. The nations held a ceremony to honor Tex, stating simply and powerfully, Tex's life mattered. In September, charges were announced against 2 people in relation to Tex's death for failing to report the wounding or killing of a grizzly bear. Tex's story is now part of a much bigger conversation about coexistence and reconciliation-based conservation. He reminded us that individual animals matter, that colonial wildlife policies must evolve, and that First Nations leadership needs to be centered, not sidelined. Tex's journey was far too short, but his legacy is clear. Empathy for one animal can inspire protection for many. Beavers are an essential animal to Canada's environment and have shaped the land for millennia. On March 24, 1975, the National Symbol of Canada Act received royal assent, making the beaver an official symbol of the nation. To commemorate this, we hosted a hugely popular webinar, assembled numerous articles, videos, and podcasts, and celebrated everything beavers for this important 50th anniversary. Finding new ways to engage people on issues of wildlife coexistence and raising awareness led the Fur Bears to introducing 2 new games this year, a Beaver Log Rider game and a Coexistence Challenge. The Beaver Log Rider game is a classic 8-bit style arcade game wherein the user helps a beaver navigate a river, collecting foodstuffs and avoiding rocks along the way. Every playthrough ends in new beaver facts being shared with the user. We also developed a Coexistence Challenge. Users are presented with several scenarios about coexistence and must choose correctly. The game had dozens of scenarios built in, ensuring a unique playthrough several times. The most popular part? Users could add their initials to a final scoreboard and compete against friends and family. Our Wild and Free activity book was a hit with BC SPCA campers and City of Toronto environmental campers this year. We distributed over 1,000 of the activity books, which includes original designs from Indigenous artists, puzzles, games, and lessons on wildlife coexistence. The book is so popular, we're expanding its distribution again to include the Hamilton-Burlington SPCA in 2026 and more beyond. Our popular door hanger program continues to spread across Canada with over 9,410 door hangers sent out. These door hangers feature information about coyotes, bears, or general wildlife and assist residents in learning how to coexist. It's one thing to say we can coexist with wildlife. It's another to share stories from our supporters that prove it. We heard from Ian in North Vancouver and Laura from Ottawa about their experiences coexisting, and they show us that we must respect and understand wildlife as part of our communities. We look forward to sharing more coexistence success stories in 2026. We attended numerous events through 2025, sharing our wildlife coexistence resources, educational tools, and showing the truth about fur farming. Highlights included the Trout Lake Earth Day celebration, the 26th annual Parkgate Society Community Day, and others. We also hosted webinar events like our Beaver Celebration event and a Dogs and Wildlife webinar featuring Drs. Valley Fraser-Celine and Mark Beckoff. Among the many events we attended were neighborhood welcome events, a part of a program we're thrilled to be partnered with. Over 500 newcomers to communities in British Columbia, Alberta, and Saskatchewan have received messaging, magnets, and other reminders about coexisting with wildlife in their new homes and communities. It started with one community and has spread to over a dozen. This year was incredible. We met amazing people, won major victories, and set the groundwork for more coexistence and the end of fur farming in Canada. All of it was thanks to you.
Hi everyone, I'm Leslie Fox, Executive Director of the Fur Bearers. I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank you so much for your support this year. Wishing you and yours a very happy, healthy, and relaxing holiday season.